It was one of those moments of, I think it was like 2 days before and I was getting sick and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And then I woke up the day of and my brain was just like, nope, nope,
Yeah,
nope,
no,
nope.
yeah, no worries, no worries at all.
Got any questions, but welcome to the podcast, Cody.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out. Um,
You're quite welcome. You came recommended. So
oh,
I had
really
to,
cool.
so Creature Creations, Adam Doty, who I had on the podcast before, when I
Creature, yeah,
asked him who to speak to, he was like, "You should speak to Cody because Cody's doing insane things." And I was like,
that's very nice of him. No, Creature Kid, Adam is his stuff is tip top. I mean, I'm really happy for him. He went straight into kind of opening up his own shop, and they're still kicking. They've been at it for a good couple years now, and I wish him the best.
yeah.
I hope he just keeps on getting work and his shop expands.
Yeah, he spoke similarly of you in the sense of he was like, Cody's doing crazy things and he's doing it all on his own, which he didn't really understand. And I was like, yeah, I don't. Like, after looking you up, I was like, yeah, I don't understand how you're doing this either.
Well, I mean it's my hobby at heart,
Right,
so that's helpful.
for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, for the people out there, very simple and existentially fraught question of who are you?
My name is Cody Ruch, and I am a practical effects artist and creature creator from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And I primarily create like puppets and animatronic creatures and kind of live action practical effects sequences for indie film. I work commissions. The stuff that I make could expand into film, attractions, and commissions.
Yeah.
So
And you do that full time? Like that's your
I I also have a part-time job as an art teacher where
oh.
I also teach animatronics and puppet making at a special makeup effects program
Oh,
at a
snap.
trade college in Pittsburgh.
Nice. So you get
So,
to kind of overlap at least your job and your passion at the same time.
yeah, I mean, honestly, like I get to go and just teach people how to make monsters,
Hmm.
and then I come home and I just keep on making monsters, and I'm pretty fortunate. So you know,
It
life
is
is
sleeping
good.
bag. You're surrounded by monsters all day, Cody.
Yeah, big big game of pretend. Just get to use my imagination a lot and just get to work on stuff that I find interesting, and
Hmm.
it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I looked through like your back catalog. I actually went on your YouTube of like a few videos from like fair few years back.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious, like, obviously I see your Instagram post and I was like, all right, well, how long you been doing this? And then looked at YouTube, it's like, oh, like 10 years ago, and there's like the one which caught my eye was like the claw hammer effect, which you did.
Oh yeah.
And
Wow. You know what? The thing is that I pretty much completely abandoned my YouTube channel. I
that's
mean,
crazy.
I started well, I just started posting stuff on Facebook,
Yeah.
and then I got on Instagram, which I found to be kind of more artist friendly,
Hmm.
and that just kind of became the new norm for me because I'm honestly really not very present personally on social media. Like I use it very strictly for business purposes
Hmm.
and just kind of marketing what I do or what I
Yeah.
can offer. But yeah, the YouTube channel, whenever I started doing it, that's where I was just kind of throwing up videos. That was before I even had like a nice phone. I still had like a flip phone at the
Yeah.
time. So I was like taking videos and pictures on like an actual like camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was basically just me. I was kind of starting out kind of early in my career, and I was just doing super small little gigs around Pittsburgh. And
Hmm.
when I first started, it was like searching on Craigslist.
Really?
Because
Yeah.
yeah, because Craigslist, I don't know if they still do or not, but Craigslist had a TV in like an arts and entertainment section.
Right.
And I think maybe during that time Facebook was kind of still new.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I was on it right away, and I didn't know how to work it. So it was kind of just looking through Craigslist, and coincidentally there were a couple independent horror films that were advertising and
Hmm.
reaching out, and I just tried to hop on because I just wanted to do something.
For sure. Yeah.
And then when I kind of find out what they wanted, it just happened to be something I was interested in creating. And I was working for super small amounts of money, but I didn't care.
Hmm.
The fact that I was just doing something
Yeah.
um was cool. But what I would do, I'm circling back to the YouTube channel here.
Of
So
course.
um I would do like test videos,
Yeah.
okay, to basically show the client what something is going to end up looking like.
Yeah.
And plus I became kind of self-taught back in middle school and high school from just watching behind the scenes of
Right.
just a lot of the films that I love. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. That's the way I wanted to treat it.
Yeah.
So I would do these behind the scenes videos, send it to the client, but then I would just throw it right up on YouTube. And that's how I kind of got my start with doing what I was doing,
Yeah.
and it just accumulated over time, you
That's
know.
crazy. And it just reminds me of what YouTube used to be, where it was just like, oh, I need a space to put a video.
Yeah,
Here it is. Like the first YouTube video was like a visit to the zoo, and it's like unedited. And I was like, yeah,
yeah.
this was what YouTube used to be.
But you mentioned the claw hammer
I
video.
mean, I watched that, and I was like, I was because I was like, oh, this was years ago. I don't know, like where in your career of like exploring this was, and I watched it. I was like, this is brutal. Like
Yeah,
it's a brutal video, and it clicked in my brain because I was like, if you put this on YouTube now, it's like an instant demonetization because it
right.
looks real.
Yeah.
And it's like this is just an insane video.
Um, I feel like I've put a lot of gory videos up, but I think I can only remember one being
Hmm.
flagged.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But yeah, I see videos getting flagged all the time. You gotta like
Yeah.
click to be able to see it and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I never really bothered to really make a mention that it's fake,
Hmm.
because anybody who just sees my Instagram
Yeah.
should know everything's fake anyway.
Yeah, you would assume it's like,
Right.
yeah, yeah. But I think that's the duality of online as well, where you kind of like if you don't mention something, especially now, right? If you
Yeah.
don't mention something's fake, don't mention it's generated or whatever, it's like there's plausible deniability here. Like
Um,
there visits. That's cool though, man. So you got into it just like off the back of your own passion, essentially.
yeah. Um, Growing up, I love to draw,
Hmm.
but I would just draw monsters.
Right.
I was really big into the Universal monsters, like the old black and white
Like
monster
Creature
movies.
of the Black Lagoon and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
honestly, the Creature from the Black Lagoon is by far my one of my favorite monsters. He's very nostalgic. I think the original suit and
yeah,
design still holds up. It's such a slick design. Uh,
yeah,
it looks wonderful. But when I was little, they re-released all the Universal Monsters films onto VHS. They were like
yeah.
selling them in like sets. They were like almost like collector editions, and I had to have them all. So I would watch these movies over and over, and I would just try to draw them,
Yeah.
and then I would just try to make like costumes, and I wanted to be an artist of some sort.
Yeah.
But I always gravitated towards like creatures and horror based content kind
Hmm.
of stuff. I I wanted to be like a director. I wanted to be I wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be all kind of fantastical things.
Yeah.
But I finally just landed with a creature creator.
Hmm.
Because I like and appreciate all forms of art, but special makeup effects is a field that has all of them
Hmm.
in one. It
Yeah.
has sculpture, design, painting, casting, fabrication, just all of it in one.
Hmm.
So it keeps it fresh. I'm not doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah. It scratches like every itch of like wanting to create, and then
Yeah,
getting to like tool set of creativity. You just like I'm gonna have to use everything
right.
again.
And
Yeah.
um, and also with like the YouTube videos that I would put up and like practical effects, like the live action stuff, performance art.
Yeah. Yeah.
With puppeteering and just nailing something just right.
Hmm.
That honestly probably only gets maybe like not even a minute of screen time,
Yeah. I think
but
that.
you do it anyway. I mean, I what I usually do whenever I do those behind the scene videos, I try
Mhm.
to capture my portfolio video right then and there,
Right. Yeah.
because when it actually goes to the final product, it's out of your hands.
Hmm.
You don't know if something's going to get edited in a way that maybe you wouldn't do.
Hmm.
Maybe something gets cut down that they don't showcase it the way that you really want to do it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't belong to you. You're like, I'm just a hired brush.
Yeah.
I get hired to contribute a skill set towards a project that doesn't belong to me.
Yeah. That's quite an
Um,
unusual feeling, I think, for like creators.
um, well, I'm just really thankful to just get to do it, and yes, it's hard to not get attached
Yeah.
to your work. I think that's the big thing. Because
Yeah.
honestly, like I'll even say to like some of my students, like don't get attached to your work, but actually I'm thinking on the inside, I do it too.
Yeah.
Like I still do it.
You can't not,
Um,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
because like it's like a child,
Yeah.
it's
Especially if you spend like, 6 months building something,
yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Um, but over time, it has gotten easier for me to just kind of like let go.
Hmm.
And Nowadays, like I can spend X amount of time on a project, but like once it's out and I'm immediately on a different one,
Hmm.
it's like
It's gone.
what project? When did I do that?
Just complete blank memory swipe.
Yeah. So you kind of I kind of adapted to it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like a cycle.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm curious. I had a thought recently, actually, speaking on the topic of like horror and early influence of. I have a lot of friends who are into horror movies and what the general populace considers the darker side of just like entertainment. And I was
mhm.
having this discussion of what is your earliest memory of that kind of content where you're sitting and thinking, this is different. Like this is different to what I've been seeing and I'm kind of curious about it because I remember my earliest experience with something which was ideally scary was the transformation scene in The Mask.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
in a movie theater with my parents. They took me to see it, and I remember being freaked out about it, but at the same time could not stop watching it.
Hmm.
And I was wondering if you would remember what you. your earliest was?
Yes.
Ooh,
Some of my earliest memories of like horror films. I remember watching Creepshow,
right,
and I was actually very terrified of
mhm,
horror films when I was younger.
right,
But I loved monsters, and my mom and my parents were absurdly supportive.
right.
But my mom, she would just buy me these horror films at a very young age, thinking, well, he's into this. But she
Yeah,
would just let me watch them by myself, like completely oblivious to what she actually bought me.
that's
Like,
crazy.
I'm talking, like, one occurrence was like she bought me Jason Goes to Hell, and
Right.
I remember watching it alone at like maybe like 6, 7 years old,
Yeah.
and
That's
just like
wild.
just watching like this intense like sex scene,
Yep.
and then the machete comes through the girl, cuts her in half, and me as a little kid get up and just hit stop on on the TV and just sit there for a minute, like just absorbing what I just seen, not understanding.
Yeah.
But earlier than that, I do remember the scene in Creepshow when the hand comes out of the ground,
Hmm.
and even after that, there's a scene where Nate the Cake Zombie grabs one of the female characters and completely cracks her head completely around.
Yeah.
You just hear that crack, and you see the head just spin around. And it took me a long time to actually get through the film. And
Yeah.
I would build these pillow forts and hide behind them. It sounds ridiculous, but I'm like a little
Well,
kid.
yeah.
It's like
That's the trope,
building
right?
forts. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's your protection.
Yeah.
And it just took me so long to get through it because I would close my eyes all the
Mm.
time, and then there would be a period of time where I wasn't watching that. I would give it another try over and over and over, trying to get through it. And
Yeah.
now I watch it as an adult, and there's just so many comedic, silly elements of that film.
Yeah.
But you know, to me, seeing it for the first time, it was something else.
Yeah.
Um, and I also remember just little splintered memories of a couple episodes of Tales from the Crypt.
Hmm.
You
Oh
know,
yeah. Yeah.
they were wonderful. Actually, me and my girlfriend just started watching Tales from the Crypt again
Right.
recently, just going through all the seasons because they're so wonderful. Um, but also, uh, like stories, like ghost stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Like my my parents were big into camping,
Right.
so we spent a lot. I spent a lot of time in the dark woods. Okay,
This is
and
all like linking together of how you
I
ended up here.
yeah, and it's like when you're a little kid and you seen Friday the 13th
Yep.
at a very young age, then when you look out into the dark woods,
Hmm.
your imagination, your little kid brain, creates something in that darkness.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very large house.
Hmm.
It was a duplex that my dad ended up just inheriting, and
Right.
then we just had the whole open space of the house. So as a little kid, in the dark hallways,
Hmm.
and plus I'm an only child,
Right.
so like
Yep.
my imagination really filled in the blanks,
Yeah.
and just kind of kept me um, attracted to the more kind of like scary side of art, I guess.
Yeah. And it's like even then, like you're talking through this, like the amount of random horror tropes just contained within this. Like there's nothing more threatening than an empty hallway.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
like when you got to get up in the middle of the night to
yeah.
take a pee, and you just peek out,
And you're like,
and
hmm.
it's just you're looking into like a dark void,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And like I grew up in the '90s, so like we had so much awesome stuff. We had like the scary stories to tell in the dark
Hmm.
books, the artwork. Yeah, I was influenced by so many different things. I was a toy collector, so I had all the Spawn, like the Todd McFarlane
Yeah.
figures and stuff, like because I you would collect all these monster figures and then you just make stuff up. You just use your imagination on stuff and
Yeah. It's crazy how much of that kind of like so because I grew up in the UK where we didn't really get like we didn't get all the comic stuff from the US during the time period I was in, like the 90s and early 2000s. And every so often something would make its way across, and I have a vivid memory of like someone handing me a figurine, and I was like, I have no idea what this is from, but this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
yeah,
And I'm from small town UK, so no one had an idea what it was from. And then it was like 20 years later, I found out, oh yeah, it's from like Spawn. It's
yeah,
like a side
yeah.
character in Spawn, and I was like, oh, this makes so much sense now.
But I mean, like they were cool figures, but they were also just cool pieces of art.
Yeah,
They were a
yeah.
wonderful reference. Um, it was great. I gave all that stuff away to my little cousins. I kind of
You,
wish I would have kept some of it.
you can't hold on to it. You make your own cool stuff now.
So many people have told me that. Like you don't need to do it. You can make it.
You could be making your own like toy line, just like
Yeah,
chilling out, like
yeah.
cracking out
I,
creatures.
I used to spend. My mom used to have a hard time getting me to leave the Halloween store.
Right.
Because I would just want to stay in there and look at everything for so
Yeah.
long. So, and then it just got to the point where I started making my own stuff, and then she even said, "You don't need to go there in there anymore. You can just make all that."
You got all this at home. You have your own
Yeah,
knives and blood
pretty
and
much.
all that at
Yeah,
home, you know. Why-
yeah,
We could set the one which I always used to get was because I used to collect Lego as a kid and we just like
yeah.
accumulate Lego,
Me too.
and
Yeah.
we'd be in a toy store with a Lego aisle. I'd be looking at some like new Lego items and my mom would come up and be like, no, we can sell them Lego. We have enough. Like, thanks, but I don't have this. Whatever this is, like, it could be interesting. It's funny as well. Like, I was, you just made me think of like obviously media shifts, and what we grew up with was like, hey, we're getting creepy stories, we're getting goosebumps, we're getting all these small town horror things. Whereas like now, I don't know if kids get exposed to that in the same way because they just get exposed to like creepypasta and stuff online,
Yeah.
and they're getting like real pot shots of like horror and creep, and I don't know if I don't know if it takes the same effect in them where they're like, oh, I can connect this to like go to see horror films and stuff like that, or if it just ends up in a true crime hole.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really not sure. I guess culture has changed a lot. You
Yeah.
know,
Mm,
I'm not really sure how it's portrayed. Um, but
mm,
I mean, I'm just really thankful that I grew up in the time period and gotten to experience
for
everything I
sure.
did.
Yeah.
So
I did want to ask, in terms of like creature stuff, do you ever find yourself just repeating stuff?
um, sometimes
Yeah.
like I don't think I can see it for myself, but like a sculpture
Hmm.
style, you know.
Right.
Sometimes we can't recognize our own style.
Hmm.
Um, but if I have to come up with something quick or do a sculpture pretty quickly, I mean, certain anatomical styles can get repeated
Hmm.
in sculptures. Um, Methods can become repeated. And sometimes characters can kind of come off pretty closely. I did a couple creatures that actually have kind of the same paint job,
Yeah.
very very closely. I'm kind of I'm a cool color kind of person. I like my
Hmm.
blues and my pales, and there was a couple creatures that I've done that kind of have a very borderline similar paint job. Not really with me wanting that to happen. I mean, I had a couple clients just kind of request something of that sort, and it just coincidentally ended up turning out kind of the same.
Yeah.
So repeating the same style, and it can happen.
Yeah. It was a thought I had semi recently. I was reading a kind of like a post around the alien design, and the people who played the creatures in Alien. And it was a thought of how limiting we are when we try to make things because we often just try to put a human inside of it.
Yeah.
And then you end up with the same shape again, or like it's like semi-humanoid, but we adjust all the facial features. And I was curious if that ever comes to you of like how would if we had unlimited limbs, another way to create this, could we go further and further?
Yeah. I mean, every once in a while, if there's like a situation where I want to try to do something different, I'll just try to pitch it to the client, try to sell an idea.
Hmm.
If it's something that doesn't need to be a guy in a suit,
Yeah,
maybe it's just a full on puppet, you know. But it really just kind of depends.
for sure. I've been trying to find out, or at least I did a quick search beforehand of kind of modern films using practical effects, and I was somewhat disappointed, but also somewhat surprised with the amount of blockbusters right now which are using practical effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I know you've worked a lot on like indie
Right.
shoots, and I feel like indie shoots do it out of necessity,
Yeah.
and I'm curious, like Hollywood's moving slightly more back to practical effects, but also like obviously deep hands in the AI bucket of slop, but it's this weird overlap we've kind of gotten to where I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't see what the future is there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be biased towards practical effects because
Oh,
I'm a maker. You know, I like to
mm-hmm,
make stuff with my hands. AI is not going anywhere. I
mm-hmm,
mean, we all have our opinions about it, especially as artists. You know, um, but I'm crossing my fingers that there's always going to be a good amount of people pushing for the kind of authentic,
yeah,
artistry
yeah.
of the approach.
Do you ever get bored of the approach?
Um,
Because it is a long process. Like this isn't a quick field you're in.
I don't think I get bored of the approach. It's really, I think it has to do with how I kind of perceive it and treat
Hmm.
it and look at it. Um, there's job
Yep.
work,
Hmm.
okay, and I take the job. I have a laundry list of things that need to be made,
Right.
and I kind of go into this state where you just got to get one step out of the way, hurry up, because you don't want to. The longer you sit on it, the more it's going to get stale.
Hmm.
And I'm talking in terms of processes. So if I have a sculpture,
Yeah.
I try to get that sculpture out of the way as quickly as possible. I'm talking like just a couple days,
Hmm.
maybe less. It
Hmm.
depends. So that way you can just get on to the next step, get it molded, get on to the next step. I just kind of zone out and just get the steps out of the way as quickly as possible.
Hmm.
So that way I can just get it closer to the finish line, and then that's kind of it. It really just kind of depends on how the individual works, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I think so. I mean, and then if I want to do something that's like personal, I can take more time on it
Hmm.
and stuff. But in terms of like getting bored of the process, I mean, not yet. I mean,
Yeah. How much of maybe a weird question, but how much would you say of like your personal creation stuff is like experimentation versus implementing an idea which you know how to do end to end?
well, unfortunately, I haven't really been doing a whole lot of like personal work because I've just been busy with actual stuff, like
Sure.
paying stuff. Um, but when I do have some time to throw together something personal,
Hmm.
it does get kind of experimental because I just like to play with stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just build something that I kind of always wanted to.
Hmm.
you know and I think another thing that kind of keeps it interesting for me is I also treat it um like if there's a bucket list effect
Hmm.
that I've always wanted to do, if I can use a job to try to implant one of those ideas in there
Right.
where I can say like, okay, well, I have this monster I have to create, it needs to do this.
Hmm.
Well, like I always wanted to do this kind of an effect. This might be able to be applied for this job. I'm going to pitch it to the client.
Yeah.
So that way my interest is a little bit higher
Hmm.
and gets me a little bit more excited. Um, because the jobs are pretty drastically different.
Yeah.
I mean, the content of what I get, I think, plays a part in keeping it interesting
Right.
because it's not the content of what I create isn't uh, repetitive.
Yeah.
Like the steps to create can be repetitive, but the content itself is not repetitive. So
Yeah.
that may help me. That might work in my benefit quite a bit. I
Hmm.
think. Um, but the steps you just you just bang them out.
Hmm.
You just get it done, get it over with, so you can just keep on going.
Yeah.
Like there have been plenty of times where I'm down there in my workshop working, and I'm just telling myself on the inside, just get it out of the way before you know it, you'll be done.
Yeah.
And then that's true. I'm just on to the next thing.
I have to imagine you end up in a fair few like surreal situations where it's like 3 a.m. or something. You sat surrounded by seven arms, just like, what is my life? Like,
Honestly, people there are a lot of people that think that like how do you sleep? I
yeah,
mean,
sure.
I do. I go to bed at maybe like 10 o'clock at the
Hmm.
latest, but I like getting up early. Like
Right.
I'm like a 4 o'clock in the morning person.
Hmm.
I get up, I work best in the mornings, and I just do as much as I can. But what I really uh, work by in terms of like time frame, it's just like when is something due?
Hmm.
Like it can range from like a quick turnaround could be like a month.
Hmm.
I could get a job where I have like 2 months to work, 3 months to work, but it's just my responsibility to make sure that I'm managing my time where everything gets done
Hmm.
when it needs to. Um,
Yeah.
so
So you're living like the double life of like creator and self-producer at the same time,
yeah,
realistically.
it can be
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah.
Um, there have been times where I think to myself like, am I good at being self-employed, or
Right.
am I not good at being like, because I feel there have been like ridiculous things, and I think to myself like, well, I need more structure.
Hmm.
Like I need some kind of like clock in machine to like designate like a time frame like of where I'm working for
Yeah.
myself. Like instead of like all willy nilly, like because
Hmm.
I work from home, so I can be working. I'm downstairs trying to get something done, but then my dog comes downstairs and wants to play,
Yeah.
and he strikes a chord, and then before we know it, we're outside.
Yep.
So, and things like that. But honestly, like things are pretty good. I really can't complain.
I mean, I know you work a lot with indie folks. Do you find people fairly receptive to kind of idea suggestions, or do you end up in that situation where someone comes to you and is like, "No, I want this, and I only want this."
Yeah,
Uh,
that it's kind of 50-50, I
Right.
would say. There are some times where people will say like, "This is kind of what we're thinking,"
Mm.
and then I'll do like some concepts based on a description and
Hmm.
try to sell the client an idea. And then there are people that come with a concept already, and they say, "This is exactly what we want," and during those times, I really will just go directly into it. I won't even try to sell them like to change anything. I'll just do exactly what they want.
Hmm.
And sometimes like there might be some minute little side effects that I can make suggestions for to make
Hmm.
things like more interesting or more like extreme. Um, but it's definitely like kind of like 50-50.
Yeah, I could see that. It's
Yeah.
it's it's one of those things about I know from having like taking illustration commissions and whatnot, where like you say, someone comes to you with an idea and says, "I need something for this. I don't know what we need." And I think it's a challenge for especially for creators to kind of go. well, okay, well, I can show you like a million things, or
Yeah,
you're gonna have to give me more details. And then other times people come in like, no, I really want this and only this, and if you do anything else, you're not getting paid.
yeah,
It's like, how do you push back against that? You know, is it
right.
worth pushing back against that?
Yeah. No, luckily, I haven't had any clients that were like ever like very stern, very much. I try to read the situation. Like over time, dealing with people, dealing with the different artistic personalities, you can kind of
Mhm.
pick up, you know, if how tight their hands are on the wheel,
Yeah,
and you don't try to take it. You know,
yeah.
you make your suggestion. If they shut it down, you don't argue.
Hmm.
It's not worth taking it personal. Again, it's not your project. I essentially just get hired by just other artists, really. You know, um,
That's the only way we can grow as creators, really, I think.
yeah,
Like, yeah. It's that challenge as well of like kind of like, especially in like film and indie stuff, where it's someone brings you something and it takes you a minute to think, how am I going to do that? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, I actually find thinking about that really fun.
yeah.
There is kind of a joy that I get about like getting like approached by a new project, and it's just you get the freshness of it right away.
Hmm.
Like oh, something might be come up again. What's in this one? Like some big bugs. I
Yeah.
haven't gotten to do big bugs yet. What can I do with big bugs?
How do I make
What are the
bubbles?
big bugs going to do to people? Are they going to melt? Or is there going to be like acidic fluid?
Yeah.
You know, that's fun for me. And then just kind of spinning from there, and then trying to come up with all kind of wacky shit. Um, the crazier the better. I mean, like honestly, uh, I really admire. There are other practical effects artists that I really admire. You know,
Hmm.
and I just want to try to mimic the work that I seen growing up.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff that inspired me growing up, I want to try to create as an adult.
Right.
It's so much. It's so vast. It's like I have this huge laundry list of things that I want to do and make.
Yeah.
Can't make it all at once, so you just keep on going,
Yeah.
thinking that maybe I can check everything off, or as much of it off as I can during my life.
Hmm.
You know,
Have you watched anything recently which has just been like you've watched it and you're like, I have no idea how they did that? Oh,
mm, not that I can think of.
yeah.
I haven't really been watching a lot of like modern films.
I always think it's the challenge of so I studied film. So it's like we learn editing and then you see something and you're like, oh yeah, I know how this is edited. And it ruins movies
Yeah,
sometimes because you can see behind the curtain, right? Like you're always like, oh, I know what that is. I know, you know, I can even pick out, you know, the latex they used to build this thing. And then you're like, oh, how did they do that when you see
yeah.
it like a new film?
Oh, you know what? I do have one. I do
Oh,
have. Have you seen Cannibal Holocaust?
I have seen Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah.
You know the famous the impalement shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have you heard of the director going to prison over that?
I've heard like bits of it, but I haven't like done the
It's
details.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is like urban legend,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But so they say that it was a girl
Hmm.
just sitting on a bicycle seat. You know,
Right.
the log had a bicycle seat on it, and then she was just holding the log in her mouth.
Right.
But when you watch the movie, and me, I'm watching it from an effects standpoint,
Yeah.
um, thinking like, okay, this is supposed to be a very simple, simplistic effect.
Hmm.
And these are probably just random people from like on location that they're getting to just like, hey, just do this for us real fast.
Yep.
But when you watch the movie, she is so still.
Yeah.
She does not twitch, nothing. And the
Hmm.
log that she's balancing in her mouth is like huge.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
big. And to balance, like the balance act, when you're watching it and the camera's moving the whole time, like
Yeah.
on the person, that's something where it's like, that's that's
Yeah.
odd. I'm not saying that it's real,
No.
but
No.
but if it's fake, they did a phenomenal job. In that girl who did that effect, the girl
Yeah.
who was sitting on the bicycle seat, she should get an award
Yeah.
for being a wonderful actress because she made it, she sold it,
Yeah.
she sold it very well.
There's definitely parts like that where you see and you think like you think you know the trick, or maybe
Yeah,
someone tells you the trick and you're like, but something's off. Something is off to
yeah,
for this to have occurred in that way.
right.
I remember being told like a bunch of stop motion stuff where someone was describing like how they crafted the scene. And I was like, yeah, but even then, like you've got a camera moving and stop motion stuff and then multi-layer, and I'm like, it's too perfect
Yeah,
for you have not to in some way cheated this, like in some way, and I don't know how you did that, but yeah, there's beauty in that though, you know?
yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of mystery.
yeah. Especially an indie film. Have you seen the Iron Lung film which came out? Which is like,
No, I have
yeah,
not.
I watched that recently, and there's a lot of blood in it,
Cool.
like a lot of blood to the point where he's like almost drowning in it at one point, and I'm like, and part of me's just watching it like, I mean, I know it's got to be a tank, but is this like a tank at like Mark Plyer's house? Like, how is this? Where is this? Like, there's too many unanswered questions about how this film got made,
Yeah,
which is, the beauty.
yeah.
Is there anything you don't think you would do? Like anything you stay away from, either because you kind of think you can't do it, or like just doesn't interest you, or
Mm, I mean, yeah. I mean, if I was approached with like some content that was just very low brow, just kind of
mm,
like offensive to the point where maybe I just didn't want to have anything to do with it. It just kind of crosses the line. I don't want my name on it,
yeah,
kind of deal, you know.
yeah.
Um, Trying to think if there's anything that I kind of turned down.
I guess maybe the question is more like, is there anything which turns you off in horror? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
like I seen a Serbian film,
yeah, yeah.
and that was low brow, man.
Yeah.
Like it was, I was kind of bummed out, and like whenever my friend showed me the film, like there was effect stuff in it, but I didn't
Mhm.
give a shit about that. I
Yeah.
mean, like I don't even want to watch this movie. Like I'm gonna see this again.
Yeah.
Like I watch effects films as a way to just kind of, you know, admire the art form.
Hmm.
You know, uh, I'm not really into like uh, I'm not really into horror as a way to like purposely offend people
Hmm.
or like make some kind of statement or anything like that. I don't really care about any of that.
For
Um,
sure. Yeah.
you know, um, yeah,
Yeah.
Serbian film was definitely one that was just I'll never watch again. I was, yeah, don't
Yeah.
need to. But I say that, but then I'll watch Cannibal Holocaust. So it's like
What is the difference
it
between
doesn't
these two
it
movies?
doesn't really make sense. I don't know. I guess Serbian film just crossed the line for me for some reason, but Cannibal Holocaust for some other reason just is a classic for me. I don't know.
All
And
right.
it's a very offensive film.
Oh yeah.
But
Both films are very offensive
yeah,
in in
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't know.
I get that. I think like kind of like you say, like it's interesting where you end up in a medium or like creating in a space, and it almost becomes like research to watch an
Yeah,
effects film. Like you're sitting down to watch it, like I'm going to enjoy this, and then part of the way through you are thinking like, oh, There's a few things here which I could use, or the few ideas which are just like
Yeah,
unique to the situation.
yeah.
Um,
No, I that's totally like I'll watch certain films and think to myself, I'm gonna steal that idea and
yeah,
use it one day.
yeah.
And I have. Like just I admit it,
That's inspiration for you. I think
yeah, it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
no,
So,
I think it's important as like an artist to be constantly learning or like
yeah. I mean,
trying different things. Yeah.
everything around us is reference. We use reference from other artists, learn from other
Hmm.
artists, and then you should share what you're doing so other people can kind of learn from what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know? Don't be a gatekeeper.
Definitely
You
not
know?
be a gatekeeper. Yeah.
So,
It's interesting as well, like you never really know where like inspiration will come from,
yeah,
especially in like art spaces where, you're watching something, you're like, oh, that's but this is creepy. I don't know why it's creepy. I could use that. Or this is interesting and I don't know why it's interesting. I can use
yeah,
that. It's why I was having a conversation recently with someone who was saying it really bothers them when you have an artist who only absorbs their kind of media.
yeah,
And it was like neither of us could understand. It's like you have to expose yourself to all kinds of things.
right,
Otherwise you're gonna end up in this cycle of just like repeating the same stuff and only ever ending like the glass jar type thing of creation.
yeah. Um, Funny enough, like I like more serious horror.
Hmm.
Like if I'm watching a film, um, I think I tend to watch something with not so much like comedic relief.
Hmm.
Like more serious stuff. But pretty like 75%, like probably 90% of the stuff that I get hired for is comedy,
Yeah.
like horror comedy, like just more quirky kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like not stuff that I would primarily do myself,
Yeah.
basically. And I've learned that if I'm in a position to make something that I don't really want to,
Hmm.
like, and if it kind of feels like pulling teeth, like like you took the job and you're making this thing that you kind of don't really want to do, but once it's done
Hmm.
and you look at it, I think, well, I actually really like how this turned out. This actually turned out really nice.
Yeah. And
You know,
surprise yourself.
yeah, you kind of you push yourself and you get to the other side when it's done, and you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
actually turns out to be one of my favorite things I've made.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, yeah. So I've been in those positions quite a few times
Yeah.
where I start off just kind of like dragging my feet about it, and then once you're on the other side, you look at it and you're like, okay, this is actually kind of cool. You know,
I like that. Like again, kind of going back to your point earlier about where you also just like have to like essentially abandon your creation to someone else and say,
yeah,
hey, there you go. This is the thing I made. And then you see the final part and you're like, oh, that's what they were doing with it. Like,
yeah. Like I had to make this mascot head.
mm,
I was hired by it was like a startup vape company,
okay,
and I guess they were doing like a business convention, and they needed like this walk around character.
right,
It's just a guy wearing like a mascot head, but they wanted like this bear. They sent me a concept.
right,
It was just like a cartoon bear head that was also supposed to be like a strawberry.
okay,
So it was just a cartoon bear with a stem on his head
right,
and like some freckle kind of things that look like seeds, like strawberry seeds. And like the flavor of the vape was like bear fruit or
right.
something ridiculous. And they sent me this picture and I was like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
And I did it to a T. I made that thing look exactly like the concept, and I still have pictures of it. And
yeah,
honestly, I'm actually pretty proud of how it turned out.
yeah,
It was so ridiculous. It was comedic. It was comedically ridiculous.
yeah.
But the only critique that they had was that the eyes looked, it was supposed to be a cartoon looking bear,
Right.
but I actually made the eyes, like I painted them realistic,
Right.
like a human monster eye. And they said that the eyes looked too cracked out. It was too scary. It was too scary looking. So I had to go back in and kind of make like the pupils
Right.
larger,
Yeah.
make it look more like loving and cartoony. But that whole situation was funny. It was such a silly piece.
I love like hearing people who've dealt with like marketers and
Yeah,
like like obviously being creative people, it's like we know ideas come from absolutely anywhere, but then you speak to a marketing team and you ask them like where their ideas come from, and like, oh yeah, we were just sitting around and then, we had this great idea about a pun, and that led to this, and it's always like 20 steps of like, how did you get from vape pen to strawberry bear?
yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
just
I don't,
just different strokes.
you just don't even question it.
No,
I don't
definitely.
question it at all. There's plenty of times where like I'm reading something in a script, or we'll be on set, and this nonsensical thing will happen.
Yeah.
I'm directed to do something, or they want something to happen, and it just you can give your 2 cents, but
Mhm.
past that, you don't need to go any further. Just let it happen and move on.
Yeah.
It becomes funny. It's every situation is like its own little TV show.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
keeps it interesting in itself.
I say kind of like we were saying before, like it is that it does become that level of like expose yourself to as many situations as possible, and just sometimes just roll with it because you don't know if you're going to enjoy it in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, rolling with it is essential.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Definitely where you can't control other people's creation ideas
Yeah,
because yeah.
like attitude is extremely important.
Yeah.
Very much. Like if you're pursuing an artistic career, and this is just my opinion.
Hmm.
If you're pursuing an artistic career and you're just pessimistic, and it's just you're gonna make things more difficult.
Hmm.
Life isn't that serious. Uh, and I think it kind of falls into people getting attached to their work too. If you have somebody coming to you with their idea, but if you try to take the wheel from them, first and foremost, it's going to throw everything off. You know, just
Yeah.
don't get attached. Help, be helpful. Bring ideas to the table. If they don't want to listen to them, then don't get upset. Just roll with it. It's kind of like a customer service thing too.
Sure. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
um and just working, uh, every once in a while you'll get some clients that, um there might be some odd interactions, like communication might not be the best, but you know but you work past it and
Yeah.
make something happen. And
Just kind of
if
roll
you,
with
if
it.
you, if you end up doing work for somebody, that you don't really care for, you don't got to work with them again. But don't burn bridges,
Hmm.
unless I mean, there's always a line.
Oh, for sure.
But
Yeah.
ultimately, I
Yeah.
don't think it's good to burn bridges with clientele. I mean, I try to keep the lines open on all
Mhm.
sides.
Yeah.
Especially since you know uh, reputation
Hmm.
is a thing, and if I give somebody, if I can give somebody a good experience, a good working experience, that travels,
Right. Yeah.
and you don't know whose ear that's going to go into. Like I've gotten work just because a past client gave my name to someone else,
Hmm. Yeah.
and you
Oh,
do your
that,
best, and
yeah.
over time, like a synchronicity can kind of start to happen.
Definitely. Yeah. I
You
mean, that's
know,
how we ended up here. Was
yeah,
someone
exactly.
passed me your name, and I was like,
Yeah,
I'll email Cody. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's solid advice. I think it's interesting hearing you speak about it being someone who's kind of like in the industry doing their own thing. And when I spoke to Adam, he had a lot of like thoughts and feelings on terms of like how people get into the industry and that they don't really embrace their passion enough a lot of the time or like put the effort in. And I think kind of like yours is like the other side of it where you're saying it's like, yeah, passion's one thing, but there's a level of amicability and, just enjoying what you do and just creating for the sake of, you know,
Yeah,
clients' needs, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I never went to LA.
Mm.
I thought I was going to. I thought I had to.
Yeah,
But honestly, I think I was just scared.
that's fair.
I was afraid to go out to LA, and I just wanted to kind of stay within my comfort zone,
Yeah.
um, which was Pittsburgh. And I just ended up over time just running this really small little business. Um, but it's
Cool.
cool. It's very low key. If I can just get enough work to get through my year
Hmm.
and live okay, that's all I want.
What
You
more
know,
could you need?
exactly.
I think that's good
Like
advice for everybody.
yeah, if I can just keep on creating stuff,
Hmm.
that's it. Grow a little each year, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I can appreciate that. I mean, that's
Yeah,
why I do what I do.
yeah,
Yeah, I do it because it's fun. I get to talk to cool people. Job's done.
awesome.
All right, I think we're coming up to an hour, so I'm gonna round this out with two questions, which I
Sure.
finish the episodes with. Kind of become a thing. So could be related to what we've discussed today, which was the length and breadth of practical effect making. Um, but what's just a genuinely good piece of advice in life?
Um, well, just pursue something that you think you'll like.
Mhm.
Because you can fail at something that you don't want to do. So you might as well take a chance at doing something that you think you might want to do. Um, be empathetic, I think, is important. And if things seem pretty extreme and overwhelming, usually they're not as bad as they really seem.
I think that's solid advice.
Yeah.
I think that's
I'm
pretty
sure
much
after
it.
I get off the podcast, I'll think of something better.
You'll be like, damn it, I had this great
Yeah.
piece about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Um,
yeah, I like that. I always
yeah.
find it interesting of where guests go with that question because sometimes it's just like straight practicality, like do your dishes the right time, like that kind of thing. Whereas other times it's like, no, we're talking about the world. We're talking about, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, like that.
Don't take life too seriously. You know,
Never make it out alive.
yeah, it's life is scary short, like
It is.
we
Yeah,
don't get a whole lot of time. So just have fun.
that's all advice. All
Be
righty.
be nice to people.
Be nice to people. That,
Be
that
nice to be nice to
that's
people.
solid advice these days.
Yeah.
Be nice to people.
Yeah.
On my final question then, speaking of people, is obviously I found you for a recommendation, but who should I speak to next?
All right. Well, I got a buddy in North Carolina named Adam Kowalski,
Okay.
and I can send you his name. But I used to work with Adam a couple years ago at an animatronics company
All
in
right.
Tennessee. I lived there for 4 years, and then
Wow.
I moved back to Pittsburgh. But we worked there together, and he left that company and he opened up his own puppet shop,
Hmm.
and just kind of like how Adam did. So, but he's
Yeah.
still in early stages of kind of like developing his company and stuff, and he's kind of getting work. And I actually just did a small little job for him last year.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I knew you were going to ask that question. I was thinking about who I was going to say, but I think
Yeah.
Adam would be a wonderful person to speak with. Um,
Sounds
so
good. Yeah.
yeah, no, he's a really wonderful guy,
Yeah.
and he's another one. He loves it so much. He's an authentic maker, and he's gonna do it no matter what. So he's doing pretty well, and I wish him the best. He keeps on getting lots of work.
Definitely. I'll definitely check him out as well. And yeah, I think actually that's a descriptive term which I'm going to steal from you, which is just generally I look for authentic people, and authentic makers are, you know, mainly who I end up speaking to because they're
Yeah,
people who are passionate about what they're doing, whether it's in film or, whatever.
yeah,
And that's key to conversation, I think. Yeah.
that's who he is. So
There we go. All right, man. Well, it's been lovely to chat to you.
yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. And obviously, if people want to check out your work, they can do. I don't know if you have any things coming out this year, but I'll tell everyone to follow it.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure they'll find you one way or another.
Yeah.
But on that note, we'll talk to these guys later.
All right. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, man.